Hi ladies and gentlemen, Murinori Gutenberg here. It's tarot card elaboration time again, and the cards that I'm going to cover in this segment are going to be the Hangman, the Death card, and the Temperance card. So let's get started. The Hangman card is signified by Neptune, or it aligns with Neptune, and its physical appearance is that of a man hanging upside down. Okay, literally hanging upside down. So someone that seems spiritual or esoteric in nature, an esoteric looking figure standing invertedly. Okay, so again upside down, so hence the name of the card, the Hangman. The Hangman is a complicated card. The Hangman honestly is one of the most neutral cards that you'll come across in a Major Arcana set or in a Major Arcana deck. Okay, I can't speak for other tarot card systems or other tarot card type of readings, so I'm not going to make such a statement. But regarding Major Arcana, the Major Arcana deck, now the Hangman card is one of the most complicated and most neutral cards that you'll come across. The card is a difficult card from a neutral perspective. Honestly, it's hard to see any benefits or drawbacks with this card. From a neutral perspective, the Hangman card stands for feeling uneasy, okay, being unsure, feeling insecure, okay, but specifically relating to a spiritual matter or feeling insecure at a spiritual level. Either that or having to make a sacrifice, okay, in order to move on. So letting something go or just letting go. That is what the Hangman in general stands for. And of course, as always, it depends on your inquiry and the situation at hand. From a constructive as well as a destructive perspective, so beneficially speaking as well as detrimentally speaking, these cards of the Hangman also means the same thing pretty much. Okay, again, it all depends on your inquiries. Examples are if your inquiry, for example, was about a spiritual matter. Okay, it was about clairvoyance. The Hangman, if the Hangman in that scenario or in that inquiry shows up as the card going in your favor, then that stands for an increase in clairvoyance or already highly developed or well-developed clairvoyant faculties. If that card is going against you, it means the opposite, okay? Or it means difficulty, or it could mean blockage, okay? Let's just say spiritual blockage, or it could mean simply difficulties that prevent you from developing further spiritually. That's just an example. For the rest, the Hangman, that is pretty much it regarding the Hangman. So like I just said, the Hangman is an incredibly complex and one of the most neutral cards that you'll come across. If the Hangman appears, generally speaking, as the last card, then it stands for, if the Hangman appears as the last card, so the likely outcome card in a 6-card spread, then it stands for indecisiveness. It stands for the outcome being dependent upon your choice. And most times, or most of the cases, it will be 2 choices that you can make. So for example, choose A or B. Then the Hangman simply stands for indecisiveness. It stands for the outcome totally or result totally being dependent on your choice, which path you choose. That's what the Hangman, generally speaking, stands for. Moving on to the next card. The next card is the Death card. The Death card is signified or aligns with Scorpio, and its physical appearance is that of a skeleton with a sight. You know, the kind of sight that the Grim Reaper carries along with him. Okay, a sight that farmers use to plow fields, specifically I think cotton or something. In any case, some kind of vegetable. In any case, most of you know what a sight is, so I don't have to elaborate on what a sight is. A sight, S-C-Y-T-H-E, a sight. And yeah, and it is befitting, obviously, okay, since it's called the Death card, and that's also why it's called the Death card. I mean, nothing could literally spell death more if it tried. Okay, this card might as well have an appearance of the Grim Reaper on it. Okay, in any case, its appearance in the Major Arcana is that of a skeleton holding a scythe, and that's why it's called the Death card. In any case, the Death card also stands for, from a neutral perspective, the Death card stands for anxiety, and it aligns well with Scorpio astrologically speaking, because Scorpio stands for the same thing. The debt card stands for anxiety. It stands for, generally speaking, money dealings. Okay, better said, the money of other people. So, for example, a customer base, if you're a business person. As always, it depends on your inquiry. Okay, the debt card can mean several things, but generally speaking, the debt card stands for these things. It stands for anxiety. It stands for being nervous. It stands for things falling apart, your life falling apart, and it stands for transformation. It can also stand for death, literally. Yeah, the debt card is also a complicated card. Okay, it totally, in the sense that it totally depends on your inquiry. Okay, and on the situation that you are highlighting or inquiring about. Yeah, constructively, the debt card could also go multiple ways, and destructively too, and also as the card that's spelled as the outcome. Okay, it's really hard. The debt card can literally go several ways. There is no way to specifically pinpoint the debt card as in a, this is what it means in general. The debt card is one of the most divisive cards that I'm familiar with. Okay, I don't think I know any other card in the major arcana set that is so divisive as and so varying as the debt card. In any case, I'm going to give you a couple of examples. So let's just say example number one, your inquiry was about money, right? For example, you're opening up a business and you want to know whether doing something, for example, undertaking some action as a means of expansion will lead to success financially, to more customers and a better flow of income. There's a good chance, high probability, that the debt card will appear as the first card. How you feel about yourself? Okay, in that case, it simply signifies that you're thinking about making money, receiving money from others, in this scenario or in this context, customers, and you're simply elaborating on expansion and all of that. That's what the debt card stands for. Okay, if it doesn't appear, and if the debt card appears as the likely outcome, then yes, it stands for a high probability or a high chance of success if you undertake said action. So if you do that, then yes, if that is the likely outcome, the debt card, then it stands for financial success. It stands for getting a higher customer base. Another example is if your life is literally falling apart, and if you, for example, your house burned down and you have nowhere else to go, you don't have any savings, or you don't have access to any savings money that you saved up, you're not the type that saves up money, and you have no relatives or friends or family that can support you in your time of need, and you have no idea what the hell to do, and you're at a loss for words situation wise. Also high probability that the same card will appear as the first card, the likely outcome. Okay, if the debt card appears, again, the debt card, generally speaking, in such a situation, it stands for literally, like I just said, you having no idea what to do, and your life is literally falling apart, or you feel at least like your life is falling apart, and you have no idea what to do. That's what the debt card stands for. And yeah, so that is pretty much it regarding the debt card. Okay, the debt card, like I just said, can also stand for death or transformation, but only in an appropriate context. Okay, undergoing a major change and all of these things. The debt card aligns, again, the debt card is one of the cards that aligns that aligns the best or the most with the zodiac sign Scorpio, because Scorpio literally also stands for all topics or subject matters that I mentioned: death, transformation, anxiety, nervousness, dealings where money of others come into play. Let's just say like stocks, for example, in the business world, banks. Okay, all of these things. In any case, money that does not directly belong to you, but that comes from other people or belongs to other people. Those are also, all of these things also fall under Scorpio as a zodiac sign. And now on to the last card. The last card is the Temperance card. The Temperance card, physical appearance is that of a man. I read somewhere that it's the Archangel Gabriel. In any case, an angel, a beautiful looking angel, which is that's standing alongside a small brook. So a small pond or a river, a tiny river, and he has, I think, a pitcher in one hand, and he is making waterfall out of said pitcher or something similar. And I think you also have an eagle in there. You have I think 2 animals that are also just standing alongside the brook, and the eagle is almost making some gesture as if it wants to flap its wings. The temperance card can stand also, like the previous card, it stands for, it can go multiple ways, but generally speaking, the temperance card stands for abundance. It stands for fluidity from a neutral aspect, okay, and it can also stands for hecticness, congestion, and so on. Okay, and it's the same thing constructively or destructively. So the temperance card is going in your favor. Generally speaking, it means that that abundance is coming your way, or things will go smoothly, or that relating to your inquiry, and that peace, if that peace will be present. If peace isn't present already, it will be present soon. If the temperance card is going against you, okay, then that means the opposite. Okay, it means that that you're not sure whether your inquiry, the decision that you want to make, is right for you, whether it's the right thing to do, or it stands for congestion taking place. Okay, so the opposite of peace. Okay, it stands for being busy, or being confronted with busyness and just feeling swamped and overwhelmed sometimes, or at some times. That's what the temperance card stands for, generally speaking. And it can also, although I have rarely come across such a situation, but it can also stand for the opposite of abundance. It can stand for a restrictive outcome, or an outcome that is non-abundant in nature. And yeah, that is pretty much it. Okay, if you receive this card as a likely outcome in a 6-card spread, then it depends on what the other cards said, the previously opened cards. Generally speaking, it will stand for good things. Okay, the likely outcome will then be abundance, or it will be smoothness. In any case, it will be good news. And the aligning zodiac sign is Sagittarius. Okay, also aligns well, similar to Scorpio, since Sagittarius stands for the same thing. Sagittarius as a zodiac sign stands for good fortune, astrologically speaking. It stands for optimism, it stands for abundance, and so on. Okay, and like I said, as always, it depends on the scenario. It depends on your inquiry. Okay, since Sagittarius and this card also deal with foreign affairs, and then this card is also very likely to pop up if your inquiry is about traveling to some foreign land or to some distant location. Okay, a faraway location. Then yeah, you'll get this card too. But in that context, obviously this card, okay, hints at you moving abroad or traveling abroad, and not at all the other things that I mentioned, the standard or general correspondences or attributes. So again, it's just an example, okay, a near perfect example about how dependent it is. That's also the thing about tarot card readings. Tarot card readings are oversimplified in nature. Okay, it can literally mean one card can mean several things, but it all depends on your situation and your inquiry, your question asked. So it can go multiple ways. That's simply something to keep in mind. That's it. Bye.